Hello everyone and welcome to another Toon Boom tip video. In this video I'm going to tell you how to move things around in your scene so you've got actual three-dimensional depth so that you can move things as though they are positioned on a multi-plane camera. Let's take a look. So here we have a little scene, a mountain scene here. I've done it in a very painterly fashion, put everything on separate layers. So I'm just going to go to the drawing view so you can see what's going on. So I've used the paintbrush, I've used the bitmap mode, which is for a different video, but it basically makes it a bit more like a painting tray, so to speak, like a painting palette, and it's easier for me to just paint away, so without having to create loads of color swatches. So I've basically created all these different items, not the most amazing painting in the world, but it's perfect for this demonstration. And when we bring them all together, we can see this is what they look like. You'll also notice they're all connected up to a composite. And then there's these brightness contrast nodes that have basically created a slightly tweaked colors there. So that's what it looks like right now. And they're all in a flat line. Basically, they sit on the same level in terms of perspective. So if I go to the top view, if you haven't got it, you can hit the plus and choose top. You'll see that all these elements, when I click on them, they're all here. Okay, there's nothing around. So this represents the camera here. There's the field of view, and they're all in the same position along that line. Now, what I want to do if I want to create some three-dimensional space so that when I move the camera around, things that are closer will move faster across the camera. For example, a left to right movement of the camera, the thing in the foreground will move quickly across the camera, whereas mountains in the background will move very, very slowly. And that's going to create that three-dimensional world. It's going to make your animation seem like it sort of exists in a real three-dimensional space. And it's a really cool effect. It's the kind of thing you might have seen on the massive kind of camera setup that the Disney movies used to have called the multiplane. And Toon Boom has this feature in it. Now, to show you how to set this up, I do also have a little character that I've drawn here. This little dude is just eating his sandwiches and minding his own business, and I want the little trees here to be in front of this character, but to be around the same area. So I'm going to both bring them forward, but also bring this one in the foreground way forward, maybe push the mountains and the sky really far back. Now, when you are drawing things like this in Toon Boom, whether it's just a sketch or it's the final artwork, what you don't want to do is you draw it all and then you start to resize it, and it obviously, as you move things backwards, because there's a virtual 3D camera there, whether you create a camera or not, there is one, the view that we have as we look at this scene. The things are going to get smaller if you push them back, and they're going to get bigger as you bring them forward. That probably isn't an effect that you want, because you've drawn everything nicely and positioned it as you want it. So you want to be able to push them back, bring them forward, without affecting their size. And there's a really good tool for this. So to use this tool, what I'm going to do is just give myself a bit more space. And I'm going to give all of these layers a peg. So I'm going to select them all, hold down Control or Command, Shift, and then P. And that will give them all a peg. If you just press Control or Command and P, it will give them all one single peg. Okay, so this is what we want. We want to be able to move them all individually, and then we can start moving them around. Now, to move them around, the best way to see this is the top or the perspective view. I tend to use the top view and then I'll check it in perspective. So to give you an example, I'm going to move this piece first, and the tool we're looking for is in the Advanced Animation toolbar. If you don't have it, you just need to right click up here and choose Advanced Animation. If you leave your mouse over this one, it's called the Maintain Size. Now that's the Alt or the Option key on a Mac, and then the number 6, and that will bring up this tool. In the top view, then, what we can do is we can click this little blue arrow and move it forward, and you'll see how it's shrinking the size of it, even though it's bringing it forward. It looks no different in the camera view. Great, so it's all kind of maintaining its position as we wanted according to our design. But then if we go to our perspective view and hold down Alt or Option and Control or Command, so Option and Command or Alt and Control, if you hold these two things down and then click and drag, you can move around your 3D space using the mouse wheel, space bar, to kind of check it out. So there we've got some three-dimensionality. Now this, I generally use the perspective view, again access via the plus here. Any of these pluses, you can put them anywhere you want. It's a really good way of checking things, but I wouldn't generally animate in this view. It's just a way of kind of like checking out your scene. It will use a bit more of your processing power to kind of view that, so don't leave it wide open. Don't have loads of camera views open because it will make your computer, you know, be a bit more challenged. So let's go through this and move a few of these things backwards. So I've moved this tree forward. I'm going to move these ones, where are they? Here, ever so slightly forward. So again, top view. And I can click the maintain size and look in my camera view what's happening. So I don't want them massively forward. I just want them in front of this character. Now what I can do is I can give them all the same peg. So this hill and this I can have as the same peg. Okay, so they've got one peg. So as I move these forward, it will move everything forward. Now you've got to be careful of that. Obviously in this situation, I don't really want to do that because it's going to move the hill and the tree in front of the character, but I can keep that peg and link them up. So this trees, the conifers, become a child of the hill. So as I move this forward in the top view, I'm also going to move, you see that other yellow line moving forward? I'm moving everything else forward. So that's creating depth between the hill, the foreground trees here, and the ones in the back. So that would be really good if you had something running over the hill. Now, let me move my character forward. Now, I can use the maintain size, exactly the same for this. It's the same principle. I'm just going to have that character sitting just behind the trees. And again, we can go to the perspective view and check what's going on. All looking good. Then I'm just going to finish this off by moving the mountains back. So let's click on those in the node view. Those mountains there, the sky. I'm going to move, again, make the mountains for the child and move this way back the sky. So just really pushing it back. You can use the mouse wheel if you've got one. The mouse is a very handy thing to have in Toon Boom because the wheel is really handy. And you can also sometimes use the middle mouse, the button, the scroll wheel to press down to pan and move around the scene like the space bar. And then I'm going to go back to my node view and just move, clicking on the peg for these mountains. I'm going to move them ever so slightly forward. Now I do want them to be really far in the background, so I don't want a lot of movement. Let's just move this one a little bit further back again. You can just click the items here on the left side rather than going back to your node view. Don't be afraid to get a good amount of depth in here. So again, Alt and Control or Option and Command on a Mac. Now we can see we've got some real depth. I might just move these mountains in the middle. A little bit further back, mountains 3. Mountains 2, in fact I'm going to move them both. Give them both a peg. And just pop them back a fair bit as well. So now we're going to get a real nice sense of depth. And again, we don't really use this perspective view for anything other than when we're working on the shot. But now if we were to move in, zoom in and out with the camera, you'll find that you will get a nice sort of effect created by this three-dimensional space. And to add a camera, just a quick one, just press the Enter key or Return key on a Mac in the node view and just search for camera. Then press Control or Command P to give it a peg. This doesn't need to be attached up to anything. And this camera now is animatable. You can see there's a yellow box there. So if I click the transform tool, I can zoom in and out and you're going to get that nice, cool effect. So go ahead and try and set up a nice three-dimensional multi-plane scene in Toon Boom. It's really fun. It can give your scene an amazing and your animated work a real sense of professionalism, depth, and a sense of place. And you can imagine what it's like when we start moving these clouds along and, you know, make the trees sway with a few deformers and so on. But that's for another video. So thanks very much for watching. I hope it was useful and enjoy making some great animation with this tip. I'll see you in another video.